Here are the basic controls in reference to the default configuration for the Xbox 360. Move the left stick, move around. Move the right stick, move the camera around. Pretty self-explanatory. The A button makes you jump. The X button makes you use your sword. The Y button makes you use your secondary weapon, which is either the gauntlet or the scythe. And the B button lets you grab objects in the environment that you can either swing or throw, or allows you to perform other context-sensitive actions, like performing a finisher or opening a door. Pressing start pauses the game, and brings up the stats screen, and pressing select, back, because that's what it's called in the 360 controller, brings up the map screen. Also, holding back will summon the Watcher and give you a hint. And of course, if you press the two bumpers together, provided that you're in an open area, you'll be able to summon Ruin, and bring new definition to the name Blazing Saddles. Because, it's a horse, there's like fire coming out of it, it's ablaze, and that was the name of a western, and Fuck! War's health is kind of a combination of Zelda and Metroid. You increase your maximum health similarly to how Link does it, by defeating bosses and by collecting Lifestone shards in sets of 4. However, it's all managed like Samus's energy tanks. Whenever War gets an extra Lifestone or a heart or whatever you want to call it, he gets an additional health bar. Also, there's no regenerating health in this game. Wrath powers are basically like magic attacks. You get 4 of them, and my god are they useless. I bought all 4 of them just for the sake of getting the achievement, but through the entire game I only found myself ever using 2 of them, and one of them wasn't even that often. Spike Geyser is pretty awesome because it hurts all the enemies around you, and Stone Skin can give you a little bit of extra damage absorption, but the other 2, I don't even remember what the hell they're called. What is useful, however, is being able to pick shit up and throw them at enemies. You can pick up a bunch of stuff like cars and signs and wheelchairs and weaponize them against enemies. I swear, hitting angels and demons alike with cars from a distance never gets old. Whether War's climbing up the walls or riding about on his trusty steed, he's always able to freely attack with his sword. He can even do it while swimming, and it becomes increasingly useful. Also, if you're riding the horse and you end up going into an area that the game doesn't want you riding the horse in, Ruin will disappear automatically for you, Donkey Kong Country style. You'll also come across a couple of instances where you'll shoot things up with bigger temporary weapons, but these parts aren't as good as the regular combat. In fact, they feel incredibly clunky. Especially during a specific flying sequence in the early game that you fortunately never have to do ever again.
Presentation.
The game definitely looks like it has that kind of comic book style to it. The character designs are pretty cool, although War definitely looks like he just came straight out of a World of Warcraft raid. The environments look appropriately bleak and dark and totally destroyed. It's a pretty good looking world when you're not seeing it with some random glitches. Now for something that doesn't really affect the game, but it's a little side note that I thought was kind of weird. When I started playing the game, I was recording the footage using a standard Dazzle card, which can only record in standard definition, so, composite cables. Even though the 360 itself was set up to display in 16:9 widescreen, the game itself ran as though it was being run at 4:3. So what ended up happening was images were stretched horizontally and there was weird letterboxing. Again, it's not that big of a deal, but it is a weird little oversight that I haven't seen in any other game that I've played on the 360 or any of the other HD consoles for that matter using composite. Hell, I only upgraded my Wii and PS3 to component cables not too long ago. And that's just so I can make them work with my HD capture card, because, that's a thing. Anywho, where was I? Oh yeah, now for the audio. The audio is pretty good, the voice acting is pretty sweet. We've got Mark Hamill as the freaking Watcher, which is probably why he's so goddamn awesome.
Until this is over, you're a dog on a leash.
I mean, listen to that voice. You can just feel the Joker coming out there. The dude who plays War, whose voice I kind of recognized from Naruto, I think it was like Gaara or something, he's also pretty badass.
To hell with your claims! The seals were broken! I was summoned! I have no interest in killing you, Samael.
Oh, and Ulthane. That giant, Scottish, giant dude with a hammer. Yeah, He's also fucking cool.
Go on, fly away, pigeons, before I pluck ya! Now get off of my property, before more pigeons come looking at crap in me yard.
Why am I talking about that in presentation? It's been a while, shut up. He's got a good Scottish accent, and his hammer sounds cool, and that makes it a topic for the presentational aspect of the review. And, satellite tomatoes.
Really now?
Riding the horse is really fun in this game. Part of it's the animation, that flaming, blazing animation that it makes whenever it's riding around everywhere just looks cool. It's also great that he can attack freely while on the horse, using either his sword or his long-range weaponry. It's fun making him look like some kind of a strange demonic cowboy firing off his pistol in the desert area. The game never really felt to me like a true button masher like many of these types of spectacle fighters can be. Yeah, there isn't really that much of a rhythm to it, but there's a lot of different attacks that you can do, both with weapons and with the environment. And again, you can't go wrong with beating spiders up with a wheelchair. A fucking wheelchair. The setting is also just kinda cool. Most of these kinds of games take place in post-apocalyptic environments, but this one takes it a step further by actually making it take place after the apocalypse, and not the man-made kind either. It's kinda cool seeing both angelic and demonic forces just sort of casually strolling about in the earth, completely annihilating the shit out of each other. Really makes you truly feel like there's something bigger than yourself going on right in front of you. The AI acts like you would expect it to, and it's competently programmed, though there are a couple of cases where they'll get, stuck. Terribly. Holy shit. The shooting sucks. It really does. Aiming just doesn't feel right. There's a weird dead zone near the center of the screen that the cursor moves around before the camera starts rotating. It worked okay in games like Lost Planet, at least in my opinion, but in this one it just feels off. And it doesn't really help that most of the pick-upable weapons fire off like cannons. Coming up to the final hours of the game, you end up having to do some stupid-ass scavenger hunt. I always hated it when games did this. It's just a stupid way of artificially increasing the length of the game without actually adding more shit. It worked okay in games like Metroid Prime because the game gave you several chances to simply just happen upon the Chozo artifacts while on the main mission, therefore decreasing the number of things you have to find near the end of the game. But in this one, they deliberately keep everything literally out of sight until the near end of the game, when you actually have to backtrack everywhere and pray to freaking God that you found all the Serpent Hole locations, because traveling back and forth can be a bit of a pain in the ass. What other bad things can I say about this game? Oh yeah, the fucking Tiamat boss! I hate that stupid bitch. I fucking hate her, I hope she fucking dies. Stupid bombs don't fall on her properly, she takes off a bajillion health, and she's got that ugly, ugly, ugly freaking voice. She's not a chick, she's a freaking Muppet monster love child of Unicron and Satan, and
You should have considered my offer. Such a pity.
I hate this boss. I hope it dies. It was so satisfying when I killed her, because I got to see her die after she killed me 8 billion times, because I sucked at that boss because of stupid bullshit, and I'm so happy that I killed her. I'm so happy. It made my soul happy. And, now what is there to live for? Darksiders is pretty freaking awesome. It borrows a lot, but it always gives back. If you enjoy the dungeon antics of games like The Legend of Zelda, but the mature themes of games like God of War, then this is definitely one to check out, especially since the sequel's out now. Who knew the apocalypse could be this much fun?